Jay-Z, you're just like Diddy. I can't stand your arrogant, condescending attitude. Nicki posted a video of you wearing a pink wig, and I retweeted it. Nothing more. You deserved it. Everyone knows about our feud. It's been going on for over 20 years. I've seen all your manipulation in the industry, from power struggles to cultural control. In 2015, when Tidal launched, Nicki helped you build it from nobody to a successful platform, and you immediately pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. Lil Wayne was qualified for the Super Bowl, but you kicked him out of personal grudges. How is that any different from Diddy forcing his artists to sign unfair contracts? Just because Nicki didn't align with him, he resorts to this kind of suppression. You're truly despicable. What's even more interesting is that right after I showed him and his father's photo in the documentary Sean Combs: The Reckoning, you immediately had your lawyer send me a warning letter saying I overstepped my bounds. When you wrote the lyrics to exonerate Diddy back then, why didn't you think about today? You say the film is malicious slander, but why don't you dare sue me for defamation? Because all the evidence I have is true. I haven't finished reporting the witnesses in my documentary, and I haven't released all the Tidal profit sharing documents. If you know what's good for you, pay back what you owe Nicki with interest. Don't wait until I make Jay-Z Reckoning 2, by which time even Beyonce's PR team won't be able to save you.
Jay goes, let's get it straight. Nobody's afraid of 50 Cent.
I want everyone to be clear. No one's scared of 50 Cent.
At that point, his safe presentation, even the glasses, what the glasses represent? Intelligence, right? A nerd, maybe. What are some of the things that come along with you being a nerd? Like, don't hit a guy with wow. He's not identifying with the transition difference and the perception of Jay-Z. Now he's really safe, and people feel comfortable with him because they know he's not going to do anything inappropriate or try not to. Meanwhile, when he's saying he's not afraid of 50 Cent, why would you have to make that clear when no one's ever asked me if I'm afraid?
Something strange just happened in hip-hop. And the internet is acting like someone accidentally opened a vault full of secrets. Because when 50 Cent starts talking about hidden truths, people don't expect a calm documentary. They expect fireworks, chaos, and maybe a few billion-dollar egos sweating behind designer sunglasses. And this time, the conversation somehow landed on two names that sit on top of the rap industry like kings on a chessboard. Diddy and J-Z. Now, normally when hip-hop legends drop documentaries, it's inspirational speeches, childhood stories, and dramatic piano music. But if you know 50 Cent, you know subtle storytelling is not exactly his brand. This is the same man who treats Instagram trolling like an Olympic sport. So when hints started circulating that this new project might reveal things about the industry's most powerful moguls, the internet reacted like someone yelled free money. In a crowded mall. Suddenly fans started digging through old interviews, viral clips, and decades of rap history like conspiracy detectives on triple espresso. Memes exploded. Podcasts went wild. In hip-hop, Twitter started connecting dots faster than a Marvel fan theory. Because if 50 Cent really pulled back the curtain on how power moves behind the scenes, the moment the internet realized that 50 Cent might be opening the vault on hip-hop's biggest power circle, the reaction was instant chaos. Not the quiet curiosity kind either. We're talking about the loud, popcorn-grabbing, group chat exploding type of chaos that spreads faster than gossip at a celebrity afterparty. Because when Curtis Jackson hints that there are stories people don't know yet, fans immediately assume something big is about to fall out of the sky. And honestly, that reaction makes sense. This is the same man who has built an entire second career out of exposing, trolling, and narrating the music industry like it's a reality show with unlimited drama. If hip-hop had a narrator who occasionally throws grenades into conversations, it would probably be 50 Cent. So, when whispers started circulating that this documentary digs into the history of how power really works behind the scenes, people leaned in. Not because they expected some scandalous Hollywood-style reveal, but because hip-hop fans know something important. The biggest stories in the industry usually happen off stage, behind the awards, behind the business deals. Behind the carefully polished interviews. And that's exactly the kind of territory this project seems to explore. Now enter the two names that immediately turned curiosity into a full-blown internet investigation. Diddy and Jay-Z, these aren't just artists. These are two of the most influential architects in hip-hop history. Diddy turned Bad Boy into a cultural powerhouse that dominated the late 90s and early 2000s, From hit records to fashion, television, and business ventures, he helped define what the word mogul looks like in rap. Then there's Jay-Z, the Brooklyn mastermind who turned lyrical storytelling into a billion-dollar strategy. Over the years, he transformed himself from rapper to executive to business icon, stacking partnerships and investments until his name became synonymous with wealth and influence. Together, these two represent the blueprint of hip-hop success. So naturally, when a documentary starts hinting at exploring the dynamics around their rise and the industry circles they operated in, people start paying very close attention because power stories are fascinating. Not the glamorous Instagram version where everyone is smiling on yachts. The real version, the one with rivalries, alliances, competition, and strategic decisions that shape entire careers. And if anyone enjoys telling those kinds of stories with a little sarcasm sprinkled on top, it's 50 Cent. Fans immediately started digging into old footage, looking for clues about what the documentary might be referencing. Interviews from years ago resurfaced like hidden treasure on YouTube. Podcast clips from hip-hop historians suddenly started trending again. Even random award show moments were getting replayed like they were scenes from a detective movie. It was like the internet collectively decided to reopen the entire history of rap. One viral tweet joked that the hip-hop community had turned into CSI Rap Edition. Another meme showed fans connecting photos of rappers with red string on a conspiracy board, like they were solving a mystery thriller. But behind the jokes and memes, there was real curiosity. People wanted to know what exactly this documentary planned to reveal. Was it going to break down the business moves that helped certain artists dominate the industry? Was it exploring the relationships between moguls that shaped the direction of hip-hop culture? Or was 50 Cent simply shining a spotlight on the kind of behind-the-scenes dynamics fans rarely get to hear about? Whatever the answer is, the anticipation alone has already turned the project into one of the most talked-about topics in rap media, and interestingly, many major industry figures have stayed relatively quiet about the whole thing. No dramatic Twitter responses. No angry interviews. Just silence. And if there's one thing the internet has proven repeatedly, it's that silence makes people even more curious. Because when everyone is talking about a story, and the main characters aren't responding, fans start wondering what's happening behind closed doors. Meanwhile, 50 Cent appears perfectly comfortable letting the speculation grow, which honestly fits his personality perfectly. The man understands attention better than most marketing teams. He knows that if you drop a hint, the internet will do the rest. And right now, the internet is doing overtime. Hip-hop blogs are writing articles about it. Reaction channels are analyzing every teaser clip like sports commentators reviewing a championship play. Podcast hosts are debating what direction the documentary might take. In other words, the conversation has officially taken over. But here's the interesting twist. Even with all the speculation, nobody actually knows exactly what the full story will look like once the documentary drops, which means fans are sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for the next piece of information. Because if the teaser alone managed to spark this much debate, imagine what might happen when the full documentary finally hits the internet, just when people thought the speculation couldn't get any louder. The internet did what it always does best. It turned curiosity into complete madness. Within hours of the documentary buzz spreading, timelines looked like a hip-hop war room. Tweets, TikTok breakdowns, podcast debates, and YouTube reaction videos were popping up faster than popcorn in a microwave because apparently everyone suddenly became an expert in rap industry history. Fans were pausing clips, zooming into screenshots, and replaying old interviews like they were decoding a secret message hidden in a rap verse. One viral tweet joked that the hip-hop community had transformed into a group of conspiracy detectives working overtime without pay. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Everywhere you looked, people were connecting dots between 50 Cent, Diddy, and Jay-Z like it was the plot of a Netflix crime documentary. Someone even posted a meme showing a giant investigation board with photos of rappers connected by red string. The caption read, "Hip-hop fans after watching the teaser." But memes aside, the conversation was growing serious too. Hip-hop commentators started jumping into the discussion. debating what the documentary might actually reveal. Some believed it would dive into the behind-the-scenes business strategies that shaped the industry. Others suspected it might highlight the complicated relationships between some of rap's biggest moguls, and if there's one thing that fascinates fans more than music, it's power. Because when you start talking about figures like Diddy and Jay-Z, you're not just talking about chart-topping artists. You're talking about two men who built massive empires that influence music, fashion, media, and business. Diddy practically invented the flashy hip-hop mogul lifestyle. Private jets, luxury brands, television deals, the man turned swagger into a business model. Meanwhile, Jay-Z evolved into something even bigger. A corporate mastermind who turned lyrical hustle stories into a blueprint for billionaire success. So naturally, any story that touches the history of their rise instantly grabs attention, but then things got even more interesting. Few hip-hop bloggers began pointing out how strategic 50 Cent can be when it comes to storytelling. Over the years, he's proven that he knows exactly how to build suspense around a project. He drops hints, lets the audience speculate, and then watches the internet turn curiosity into viral marketing. It's basically the same strategy that made his television shows so addictive, and judging by the reaction to this documentary buzz, it's working perfectly again. YouTube channels began uploading breakdown videos, analyzing every tiny detail of the teaser. Some creators went frame by frame like they were studying game film before the Super Bowl. One commentator joked that the documentary teaser had more analysis videos than a Marvel movie trailer. Meanwhile, the memes kept getting wilder. One viral post showed a picture of 50 Cent calmly sipping a drink while the rest of the industry looked nervous in the background. The caption read, 50 Cent after pressing upload. Another meme compared the situation to a chess match, with Diddy and Jay-Z sitting on the board while 50 Cent casually moved pieces around. And honestly, the imagery wasn't far off because this whole situation feels less like a simple documentary and more like a strategic move in the never-ending game of hip-hop influence. A reminder that even decades into their careers, these artists still control massive attention. But the most interesting part of this entire moment might be the silence from major industry figures. No dramatic statements. No public arguments. No angry responses flooding social media. Just quiet observation. And in the age of the internet, silence is almost suspicious. Fans started speculating that executives and publicists were probably watching the conversation closely, waiting to see exactly what the documentary contains before reacting. Because when powerful reputations are involved, nobody wants to respond too quickly, especially when the storyteller is someone as unpredictable as 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson has built a career on knowing exactly when to speak and when to stay quiet. Sometimes his jokes are harmless trolling. Other times his comments spark weeks of headlines. But one thing he understands better than almost anyone in entertainment is attention. And right now the attention surrounding this documentary is massive. Every day more fans are discovering the conversation. New theories appear on social media. Podcasts keep debating what direction the story might take. And with each passing hour, the anticipation keeps growing. Because the real moment everyone is waiting for hasn't even happened yet. The documentary release. Once the full project drops, speculation will finally turn into reactions, opinions, and possibly even responses from the people being discussed. By the time the conversation reached its third wave, the situation had officially grown bigger than a simple documentary announcement. It had turned into a cultural storm inside the hip-hop world. The type of moment where everyone from casual fans to longtime industry insiders suddenly feels like they're watching something important unfold in real time. Because once the speculation started spreading, people began asking a deeper question. What happens if this documentary actually changes how the public looks at some of the most powerful names in hip-hop? Now, nobody had confirmed dramatic secrets or explosive accusations, but the possibility alone was enough to set the internet on fire. Podcast hosts, bloggers, and YouTube commentators started analyzing the situation like sports analysts, discussing a championship fight, and the focus always came back to the same two figures, Diddy J-Z. Men whose influence stretches far beyond music, for decades. Diddy has represented the flashy mogul side of hip-hop success. The suits, the champagne, the luxury lifestyle that turned rap from underground culture into a global business spectacle. From Bad Boy Records to television, fashion, and brand partnerships, his empire has touched almost every corner of entertainment. Meanwhile, Jay-Z built something even larger, a reputation as one of the most strategic businessmen the culture has ever produced. He went from Brooklyn street poet to billionaire entrepreneur, building ventures across sports agencies, streaming platforms, liquor brands, and corporate partnerships together. They represent two different versions of the same dream. Hip-hop power. So, when a documentary hints at exploring the history around that power, fans naturally start wondering how the story might affect legacy. Not because anyone expects a shocking scandal, but because even small insights into the past can reshape how people understand the present. Reputation in entertainment is fragile. One viral narrative can change the way millions of fans see a public figure almost overnight. We've seen it happen across Hollywood, sports, politics, and music countless times. But interestingly, this documentary buzz seems less about tearing anyone down and more about curiosity. Fans want to understand the real history of how hip-hop's biggest empires were built. The deals. The alliances. The rivalries that never made headlines. Because behind every legendary career, there are always chapters the public never fully sees. The business meetings that determined who got opportunities. The competitive tension between powerful figures fighting for influence. The moments where one decision changed the direction of an entire industry. And if 50 Cent is telling this story, audiences know it probably won't be told in a boring way. Curtis Jackson has always been a master storyteller when it comes to the music industry. Whether through interviews, social media commentary, or television production, he understands how to turn real-life experiences into entertainment. That keeps people watching. That's why fans expect this documentary to feel different. From the usual celebrity storytelling projects, most documentaries about music, legends focus on inspirational journeys and highlight reels, childhood struggles, breakthrough hits, and triumphant success stories. But when 50 Cent steps into the storyteller role, viewers assume there will also be a few uncomfortable truths mixed into the narrative. Not necessarily scandals, but perspective. The kind of behind-the-scenes insight that makes audiences rethink everything they thought they knew about the industry. And the possibility alone has already made this documentary one of the most anticipated hip-hop projects of the year, because the internet loves mystery. Add legendary names, massive business empires, and one of rap's most fearless commentators into the mix, and you get a conversation that refuses to slow down. Fans are already predicting what will happen once the full documentary finally releases. Clips will go viral within hours. Reaction videos will flood YouTube. Podcasts will spend entire episodes dissecting the biggest moments. And of course, social media will explode with memes, jokes, and debates about every detail. Because that's how the modern internet works. One major story spreads across platforms like wildfire, pulling millions of people into the conversation whether they were paying attention to hip-hop news or not. And if this documentary truly dives into the mechanics of power inside the music business, it could become one of the most talked about rap stories in years. Not because of controversy. But because fans are fascinated by what happens behind the curtain, how influence really works. How legends built empires, and how a few powerful personalities helped shape the direction of global hip-hop culture. So as the anticipation continues building and the internet keeps debating theories, one thing becomes very clear. The real story hasn't even started yet, because once the documentary finally drops, the speculation phase will end, and the real reactions will begin. So there you have it. A documentary rumor that has the entire hip-hop internet acting like a room full of detectives who just found a locked vault in the middle of the industry. One teaser, a few hints, and suddenly timelines everywhere are exploding with theories about 50 Cent, Diddy, and Jay-Z, because let's be honest for a second. When Curtis Jackson decides to tell a story, it's never quiet. This is the same guy who treats celebrity drama like it's a championship sport. He doesn't just drop information. He drops it like a fireworks show in the middle of Times Square. And whether this documentary turns out to be a deep dive into hip-hop history, a breakdown of industry power moves, or simply another masterclass in 50 Cent stirring the pot, one thing is guaranteed: everybody is watching. The internet is already connecting dots, revisiting old interviews and debating theories like it's the final round of a heavyweight fight. Some people think big revelations are coming. Others believe it's simply a bold storytelling project that pulls back the curtain on how hip-hop empires were built. But now the big question goes to you. Do you think 50 Cent is about to reveal something major about the industry? Or is this another genius move to get the entire